And Peter and them, they had attitudes. Oh, y'all ain't saying nothing. Some of you thought that, some of you think that jealousy just started in the church. Some of you think that folk that couldn't get along just started in the church. That began in the beginning. The apostles, y'all ain't saying nothing. Peter was the chief apostle, but Paul was the anointed apostle. Oh, somebody ought to jump up and say, show you right. Jump up and say, show you right. Oh, I can't get no help. Why do I say that? Well, it was Paul who was anointed to come and preach to us. And we are who? The Gentiles. Oh, y'all ain't saying nothing. So God turned around and had mercy on us. Understand that when God began to have mercy, when God began to use such a one, it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. It doesn't matter what you are. But as long as God is in the midst of it, He'll begin to turn things around in your favor. So God began to talk to Joshua. He began to say, Joshua, you got some mess in your camp, and you need to clean this thing up. Look at somebody and say, you got some mess in your house, and you need to clean that mess up. Oh, y'all ain't saying nothing. Oh, years ago, I used to tell my mother, you need to stop letting my nephew sell drugs around your house. Oh, my mama didn't pay attention. She said, well, it's not in my house. Well, mama didn't know that they were hiding drugs inside the house. Oh, and the police were watching the house. And one day the police decided that they'll come and ramble the devil, come inside the house. And so they went upstairs to my sister's house. They kicked the doors open, and they found drugs in the house. And because they found drugs in the house, they kicked down my mother's door. They went downstairs and kicked her door open. They ramshacked the house. Oh, y'all ain't saying nothing. Look at your neighbor and say, Gabriel, say there's mess in the camp, and you got to clean that thing out. So mama didn't understand. She called me up and said, I don't know why they did me. My daddy done had 5 strokes, about 4 heart attacks, and they threw my daddy down on the floor, and they had the gun on his head and telling my daddy don't move. But I kept telling my mama, you got to stop those young men from selling drugs around your house. Can I get a witness here? Even though she didn't have nothing to do with it, but she knew it was around. Can I get a witness here? And I kept on telling her, you need to get them out your house. You need to get them around your house. 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, folks knocking on the window. My nephew knew come out the door. Can I get a witness here? That's why every time when I go home, even when I visit, Sister Hattie them will tell you, they from New York themselves. I would stay at the motel, but I didn't want to be around that mess. They would play all type of music, all type of blues, all type of R&B, all type of gangster rap. They were smoking their blunt and sniffing their cocaine. Y'all ain't hearing me, but I kept on telling them, you'll never be blessed when you're claiming that you're saved and you're allowing that mess all up around you. But my Bible tell me, he that is holy, let him be holy. You got to separate yourself. You got to know how to rectify. Tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, the reason you messed up, because you ain't checked yourself out. Somebody ought to jump up and say, check yourself out, because you in a messed up stage. Can I get a witness here? So I kept on preaching to her, but they wouldn't listen. Can I get a witness here? So I kept on until things got rough, till my mama had to wake up. They had to separate sister on one side of the town, mother on the other side of the town. Y'all ain't saying nothing. The children couldn't come around because they done been messed up in a messed up situation. That's why I tell folks, when see members in your house and they smoking dope, they drinking alcohol, they sniffing dope, and you sitting up there talking about I want my way to church, you ought to tell those boogers, you got to get out my recognized that I was changed. I was transformed into a new another life. So my son kept on trying to live his daddy life, trying to live his daddy name. But when my son fell to realize I didn't have that gangster name no more, I didn't have that street name no more. Can I get a witness here? Because God translate my name from Geechee Dan Buford to Apostle Greg Wright. Somebody ought to jump up and say, show you right. Give your name the high five and say, watch God turn that thing around. So now look at here. He wouldn't listen to me. So one day he got into a matter and the police arrested him. And he had two friends. He gave one his drugs and the other one his money. And the one with his drugs, can I get a witness? And the one with the drugs, they were best hanging partners. They was roommates. They were top dogs. What you want to call them, run dogs? Oh, y'all ain't saying nothing. But one day, one decided I bailed my son out of jail. So the young man that had his money went down to Monroe County Jail in Rochester, New York, 8.5 years ago, and bought my son out. And my son went looking for the young man that had his drugs. And when he found that young man messed up his dope. And he was known for killing people too. And my son was known for shooting people. Can I get a witness here? But my son then thought the man was a shooter. So they were arguing and fussing. And my son turned his back and walked away from his friend. And his friend pulled out a 9mm, shot my son in the back. The bullet came through the back, hit the liver, and killed the liver up. That he bleed all night long. They pumped 70 ounces of blood, but he kept spilling it out. See, that's why you better be careful who you're hanging out with. You better be careful who your company are. They'll smile in your face. They'll shake your hand. They'll borrow your car. They'll wear your clothes. They'll lend you money. At the same time, they planning to take your life. But look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, if I don't hear nothing tonight, I'm going to hear it tonight. Somebody ought to jump up and high-five your neighbor and say, I'm hearing. So now look at here. So my son got shot and died. Y'all ain't saying nothing. So I learned not to play with God. And I learned. Can I get a witness here? I was hanging out in the preacher. And the preacher came down. And this preacher's a witness. He came down last month. Down to Lakeland, Florida. In my national convention. I had preachers from all over. And his fiance came down. She came down from Buffalo, New York. Riding on the train. And he ran out of money. And on that last night, he came to me this Sunday morning. He said, I don't have no more money. And I need to get home. And that Sunday night, I raised up him enough money to put him in a motel and get him a plane bus ticket. And you know what the preacher did? He deceived me. Y'all ain't saying nothing. He already had his fiancée, had her bags ready. They was already planning to go to the motel together. And when I found out, I said, preacher, you can't do that.